Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of Ask Me Anything Part 5. I'm of course Oliver Joyce, your host for the afternoon, evening / morning. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions, and I hope you enjoyed part 1 of the answers. The first half an hour. We're into the second half an hour, which may probably go for longer because there's probably more questions. But let's just jump straight in. Necron Lord, big shout out to the Discord, asks, what planet is a gladiator going to be from in Sword and Sandals 6? The game is set on Tritonia, Brandor, of course. But I'm not sure entirely, but I'm hoping to take the gladiator to different places around Brandor if I can swing it. I've got some ideas in mind. Perhaps you get around on a wagon and you go around and that can be upgraded. Maybe. We'll see. That thought came to me this morning. Varat, are you into strategy games? Varat asks. Hey Varat, if so, what's your favorite? Don't play them as much as I used to. The most recent one I played for a while was Stellaris, which is an awesome 4X style space game. I played that with my good friend Greg Bernard Wee, who was of course the inspiration for Sir Belgrave and a master strategic games player who's got me into a lot of these kind of games. We used to play tons and tons of Dawn of War, the Warhammer 40k game. We played that to death, which is real-time strategy. That I'd say would probably be my favorite strategy game ever. Also love Civilization series. That's another killer game. Love it. I heard Crusader Kings is really good, but it's way too time-consuming. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to get into it. Not TTVBTW asks, there is a glitch in Swords and Sandals 2. Can I not play the game after Chapter 2? How do I fix? I'm not aware of such a glitch. Yeah, if you jump onto the Sword and Sandals Discord channel, and there's a little sub-channel called Report Bugs. If you can take a video of what's gone wrong for you or explain in more detail, I might be able to take a look at it. And if this is the Redux or the original version. Abdullah Speedruns, with a cool little icon of a gladiator there, says, when will Sword and Sandals 6 be released? When will you do reaction videos about speedruns in Sword and Sandals 2? That'd be kind of fun. Sword and Sandals 6, probably 2022. It could take a long time. I haven't even started on it yet. I've been promising this for so long, and I'm so sorry to everybody how much I keep talking about it and still haven't started. I hadn't planned Sword and Sandals Crusader Redux to go for so long, but then the damn pandemic hit. Once I start work on Sword and Sandals 6, it should hopefully come together pretty fast. It still take a year or more because it's a big one. Reaction videos, I don't know. I never thought about it. That'd be kind of funny though. Just me going, oh my god. We'll see. Eamon J asks, can you put online PvP in the next Sword and Sandals game? You got it. It's happening. We're going to have multiplayer with proper matchmaking and everything. I'm using the Epic multiplayer service. That's what I'm hoping to use. So it's going to be real, really good stuff. A new champion boss called Marcus Aurelius, the Roman man. We'll see. There's going to be another Roman in the game. There's going to be good old Spartacus, and he will be featuring as an arena champion in Sword and Sandals 6. So that's hopefully soothes your need for the Romans in the game. And there's a reason Spartacus appears in the world of Sword and Sandals, and I'll tell you why when you play the game. Krzychu, damn it, I always get I think that's a Polish name, I'm sorry, it isn't. I stuffed that up. Another question, can you tell us something about the dragons of Tritonia? How powerful, how intelligent are they? What are their relations with other races? Are they hostile, friendly? Why did some of them decide to fight for King Lionel Hikeus during the Crusades? Originally, I hadn't really planned any reason for them. That was just a cool thing to have an airstrike. Then I thought about it. It's like, why are they on the side of this one or that one? And I still don't have an answer. I don't know how many dragons, why they're helping people. They are intelligent, and I'm going to say there's not many of them. I want them to be rare. I know there's one in the White Worm Caverns in Sword and Sandals 5. The dragons you see in the airstrikes are probably more like drakes, which are small, less powerful ones. But yeah, I've got to work all that side out, the whole sort of why are the monsters doing what they do, who's on side one day. I need help with this. I need to really sit down and do this, because I know a lot of people have asked about doing a D&D campaign in the Sword and Sandals world, and the Tome of Lore is a good start, but I need a lot more into it. And that's a good question. Thank you. Cheesewits, did you study web dev in university? Would you be able to give us a brief summary of your life? You seem like a very interesting person. Thank you. With a name like Cheesewits, you do as well. I didn't go to uni. When I finished school, I got into a science course, but I didn't want to do it because it was too far away and I was just a very lazy kid. I went straight in to become a computer salesman, and I did that for a year and a half. I worked in a warehouse in this computer place, and then I got promoted to be a salesman and kind of made games there on the work computers. I'm going to do a proper My Life video, as I mentioned in the last Ask Me Anything Part 1. Because it seems like there's enough people that want to know a bit more about my backstory. Some people know it, some people don't, but hopefully I can answer a bit more about that then. I didn't study web dev there. I actually I did what's called a TAFE course, which is a technical college course a few years later. A 6-month long course which taught me the basics of HTML. From there I started my own little business called Claymore Realms, and I made websites, really awful websites for friends and family, and I earned a little bit of money from that before lucking my way into my first job making multimedia CD-ROMs, and all the while just making games on the side. So I didn't formally study any of this stuff properly, like self-taught programmer and so on. Hence why there is so many bugs and weird things in Swords and Sandals, because I'm self-taught, really. Guy BK asks, I noticed that the Bard class is absent in Swords and Sandals 5. You are correct, my friend. Could the Bard class and usable instruments make a return in Swords and Sandals 6? Either way, I'm a big fan of the games and I appreciate your dedication to make more of them after 14 years. Has it been so long? It has. 2006. Crazy. And I started in 2005, so getting old. I was a young buck back then, young single man. Those were the days. These are the days also. I love the life I have now. That's like that strange little digression there. I think, as I mentioned before, Bards are coming back for Sword and Sandals 6, and you'll have guitars and electric guitars and cool music to play, because that's part of the fun of Sword and Sandals 2 and 3, 3 in particular with the Bards. I want to get back to that kind of silliness. Not everyone wants that, but I do, and I think what differentiates Sword and Sandals from other games, other role-playing style games, is the silliness, and that's been missing from some of the more recent ones, so we'll be bringing Bards back. KBHD asks, is it possible to be defeated by the fearful prisoner in Sword and Sandals 2? I don't know. Has anyone ever been defeated by this? You're not supposed to be able to. I kind of, I forced him to always, his attacks always miss and that kind of thing. But I know that every now and again there is some kind of glitch where he'll hit you. So maybe you have lost to the fearful prisoner. If so, you should feel ashamed and put down your gladiator sword. Actually, it's my fault. You're not supposed to be able to lose to them. Although in Sword and Sandals 3, when the fearful prisoner returns as an arena champion, of course you can lose to him. Will there be some kind of skill tree in Sword and Sandals 6? Yes, absolutely. There will be a completely new, multiple skill tree system. The fighting tree, the wizard tree, the music tree, that kind of thing. But I'm going to redo them all from the ground up because there's too many weird legacy systems that don't make sense in the previous games. And how will the gladiators look in Sword and Sandals 6? Like Sword and Sandals 2, or will it be completely new design? Most like Sword and Sandals 2 and maybe Sword and Sandals Pirates/Crusader. I'm going to be drawing one of them and then giving them to a professional art team to do their version of it. I haven't fully decided this, but I'm now leaning towards having a proper, 2D, nice art style. Still cartoony, but I want them to look really nice. Still keeping that Sword and Sandals flavor, but they won't look Sword and Sandals 3 or the weird one from Sword and Sandals 5 or Medieval. None of that. But you will recognize them for the kind of South Parky Sword and Sandals characters they are. That's to be determined fully yet, but that's where I'm leaning at the moment. I thought about 3D, but I think that's just going to be way too hard. Can't wait to play Crusader Redux. Can't wait to have you play it. Look forward to it, my friend. Road to the Dragon Lord. Hello, I don't know if this question will be read. Yes, it has been read. Before or after my original comment, sorry. But I had something that important to ask. I haven't been keeping in touch with you as often. I'm saying your Patreon is no longer alive. Are you going to reactivate it? Yeah, so the Patreon I took down because I felt like I wasn't doing enough for you guys and girls. I felt a little guilty taking, money for nothing and your chicks for free, as the old Dire Straits song goes. Because I promised that, like, you'll get this secret stuff and you'll get access to these extra content things, but I just didn't have any extra content to do, and I didn't have enough time to dedicate to it. I don't know. Should I bring it back? I'm thinking maybe I bring it back for Sword and Sandals 6. Would you be interested? Is it something you want to contribute to? Because I don't want to take your money and you not feel like you get any value for it. Because, I feel like, spend your money on things you like. If you want to really help me out, perhaps we'll bring it back for Sword and Sandals 6. Yeah. Here's his other question. Rotul the Dragon Lord says, I want to ask you about the possible Ultima style game, Constellation Mirror. What do you think about the idea of several different arenas around Brandor? I'm not sure how many exist in canon, but depending on when the game is set, there could be more constructors. And could there be any sailing involved? Possibly not to the extent of pirates, but perhaps a handful of islands set to sail a ship to. Sorry, I really butchered your question. Yeah, there's going to be sailing in Sword and Sandals Constellation Mirror, which is the game after Sword and Sandals 6. And maybe there'll be sailing in Sword and Sandals 6. We'll see, because I'm still toying with the idea of you as a gladiator going around on this sort of battle wagon, going to various arenas. Yes, there'll be new arenas. Maybe there'll be the old arenas as well. I'm kind of working out whether, I think at the moment there will be multiple arenas that you go around rather than that one location with different arenas. Doomtrek and the Cliffs of Carnage in Sword and Sandals 3 was the one location with multiple arenas. But I'm thinking of having different cities, like you visit Pilthia and maybe fight an arena that the Cycladians use, or perhaps you return to Doomtrek, or an new arena under the ground, or perhaps an arena in Bargle's Tower. We'll see. It's a lot of new artwork to do new arenas, but then it's new artwork anyway. The one thing that I'll probably do would be have the salesmen and the shopkeepers and so on travel with you, so I don't have to do new shopkeepers all the time, because that's a lot of artwork. We'll see. That's all the stuff I'm sort of planning, while still trying to do Crusader Redux as well, which is, we'll see. Damn it, I'm so sorry, Krizchu. I keep stuffing your name up. Who has a question? Are battle guitars and other bard weapons used in Brandor, or were they items given by automatons to gladiators in Sword and Sandals 3, and were they later taken away, like laser guns and similar technology, where it was only used in Sword and Sandals 3? My rationale for this is all to do with the Constellation Mirror, which is the sort of the portal that things came through. People came through to first settle Tritonia and Brandor and so on. And because people came through from various planets, and one of them was Earth, guitars made their way through. Acoustic guitars have always been part of the Sword and Sandals world. It was only in Sword and Sandals 3, but people started to use them in battle. When the automatons came, they brought with them electricity, a powerful form of electricity that only they can replicate with their generators. Smart people were able to convert their guitars into electric guitars, but once the automatons left, sadly the music died, and electric guitars no longer worked until the automatons come back in Sword and Sandals 6, and they'll bring back the guitars, of course. That's my rationale. Hope it makes sense. So much of the time I'm retrofitting Sword and Sandals stuff and the lore, because you kind of create all the stuff on the fly, and you kind of think, oh, hang on, that doesn't make sense. A little segue here, or a little digression. In Ultima games, the first Ultimas, Richard Garriott put, Earth, he put spaceships and planes and TIE fighters, and he had to go back and try to retrofit that in the future games, and it was quite a challenge for him. You go through the lore of the Ultima series, and you'll see the similar problems that we had in Sword and Sandals. Emma, hey Emma, how you doing? Love Sword and Sandals. I think the classic formula is missing something. The arena battles need a roguelike element or something. What do you think? You're not wrong. I love the Sword and Sandals combat format too, but it does get a bit samey, and so many of the battles just keep coming down to who has better stats. So I want to be able to have a lot more synergies, is the game dev term we know, where this skill complements this skill and beats this one, kind of how rock beats paper beats scissors and that kind of thing. I want to be a little bit smarter, and as I've grown as a game dev, I've gotten smarter, and I've learned from my mistakes, and I really feel like all that stuff is leading up to a more better balanced Sword and Sandals, which has, the roguelike elements of, randomization and certain procedural elements and that kind of thing. So yeah, you're not wrong. Emma also asks, why do you think of Warriors Rise to Glory, which was a very Sword and Sandals inspired game? You know what? I never played it. I've seen videos of it, and I know the guys there have mentioned that they were really inspired by Sword and Sandals. That game's done really well. It's sold probably better than Swords and Sandals. Go figure. So often the case. To be honest, I think they borrowed a lot from Sword and Sandals, including some of their, even some of their the things that the warriors say and that kind of stuff like that, and the farts in the game and that kind of thing. But it's flattering and to have made a game that influenced others to make their own version of it is, a cool thing and not something I'd ever dreamed would happen. And I take it as a challenge. I want to make a game that is more successful than them. I think they've always had a bigger budget than me, and the challenge is on me now to make a Sword and Sandals game that can compete with them, is multiplayer and has as many players. So we'll see. The next question, thanks Emma as well for writing that. The next question is from Shitty Dude. Oh, what's wrong? You're not so bad. It says, when will you do Sword and Sandals 3 Redux? I love that game, man. To be honest, either never or after Sword and Sandals 6. Or maybe I'll just do some downloadable content for Sword and Sandals 6 with the Sword and Sandals 3 Arena Champions. Just because Sword and Sandals 3, the code base is probably messier than any other code base in any of the games. It's so complicated because it had all this multiplayer stuff, and I built it really. It was a crazy time when I was building that, as were so many other Sword and Sandals games. So we'll see. So many people ask for it though, and I do want to bring that back sometime, probably in the form of downloadable content for Sword and Sandals 6. This name is in Cyrillic, possibly Russian, so I'm not going to pronounce it, but it's Kofta Kamenhob. Apologies for butchering that. I like the new Whiskey Barrel Studio window that shows up with your name. Oh, thank you. I put a little bit of effort into that with a little animation in the bit. Pretty happy for that to happen. For those who don't know what he's talking about, that is that. There you go. I did that in Flash, believe it or not. Converted to video. So Flash still has a little bit of life in it. So I'm trying to get these all out before my wife and kid gets home. Trying to scramble. Let's keep going with the questions. Fat Engie Man, how you doing, my friend? Just one question. Who is your favorite character in Sword and Sandals universe? Oh, it's like picking between my children. Who's my favorite? Different ones for different reasons. I love King Lionel for his sort of, just his gung-ho He-Man like. He's a bit dumb in the head, but he's all about, honor and glory and battle and so on, and he loves a beer. He's a kind of fun one. I love Belgrave for his stoic, serious, my honor is my life style, somber nature, and because he's modeled after one of my dearest friends of all, that has its place in my heart. Well, sorry. I love Chaos for his zaniness. He's probably the most fun one to write lines for because he needs to go a bit nuts. And I love the look of Emperor Antares. So they're all my favorites. Wolfgang is, of course, based on young me in my early 20s when I was a bit of a screw up. And then, I drank too much and, chased girls and did a lot of dumb stuff. Wolfgang is kind of based on that. So, yeah, I love them all. Sorry, not really best answer I could give you. Verat, second question from Verat. How you doing? Do you watch any TV shows? Yeah. Which ones at the moment? What's my all-time favorite? My all-time favorite is Game of Thrones. I know they didn't stick the landing. To be honest, I even like the end of it. I know that's controversial. I'm a bit more mellow now these days, and I kind of feel like, the bar is a little lower. If you told me 10, 15 years ago there would be a fantasy series as good as that, I would never believe you because I grew up on garbage fantasy stuff, real crap like Merlin and, the Dungeons and Dragons, kids cartoons and so on. There was never any good fantasy stuff. So Game of Thrones is my favorite series. Right now, I'm watching Dead to Me with my wife, which is a hilarious Netflix comedy. I just watched Tiger King. That was awesome. And I'm rewatching The Office, the US version of The Office, which is always worth a laugh. What are your favorite shows? Let me know. Ilang Sacha Hey, Ollie, we meet again. Hello, my friend. Slightly less questions than last time, but still a lot. 5 questions. Is the Bone Slinger a zombie since his existence, or is it something to do with the Death Imperium? There is a story behind the Bone Slinger. If I look it up, see if I can tell you. I was writing it recently. So, oh, where's the Tome of Law? For some reason, it's disappeared from the homepage. That's weird. I must check that because did you know that on swordandsandals.com there used to be a Tome of Law and now it is gone? Thanks for letting me know. I'm actually going to fix it up this evening because I was doing some edits to that. All right, but the Bone Slinger, if we go into the admin, several hours later, talk about dedication. I'm actually going into it right now. We go posts. Hopefully it's not deleted. That would suck. Because it's supposed to be on the homepage. Okay, we're looking it up now. You're going to love this answer. Okay, Bone Slinger. Okay, the Bone Slinger's tale is just one such story. He was a well-known bandit in life, though his true name is long lost. He was known for his cruelty and delight in carnage. When the Crusades began, he somehow gained audience with Antares and requested to be made a lich. Those who became liches willingly would be granted power, much greater than those who died in battle and were resurrected. Antares performed secret rites known only to the other emperors of Eldohath, and sapped his soul. The Bone Slinger rose again, a hideous lich. Though he now possessed powerful magic, he chose to keep the warrior weapons he used in death. Cruel and powerful, heavy artillery guns, rare in Brandor since the days of the Four Oceans War, as gunpowder was incredibly rare and expensive. During the Crusades, the Bone Slinger developed a fierce rival with the Praetorian warrior priest, Father Painbringer. Both were gunslingers who fought many battles against each other across field and rampart. They would meet again by chance in a tavern in Port Skeldon. That's all I've written. I've forgotten what happens next. But yeah, hopefully that's a bit of an insight into Bone Slinger. Does Father Painbringer have a child? Good segue. He does not, that we know of. Making a double term for father. What's his rival with the Bone Slinger as above? I haven't detailed that yet, but they do have a rivalry. How does Katsumoto and Dantas affect Brandor? What are their relationships with Belgrave and Hikaeus, respectively? I don't know. I know that Lieutenant Dantas was in Hikaeus' Legion, but I can't remember exactly what his story was. But we will go back and check that. He was a famed Lothario and Sleaze, being blessed with good looks and charm, but also a ruthless commander in Hikaeus' Legion and a vain man. It was rumored he was the brains behind Hikaeus' Legion of H, Hikaeus being himself far too volatile to be a good military strategist. When Antares took over from Hikaeus, Dantas was enslaved and forced to compete in the arena games. He would escape with Hikaeus mid-tournament and go on to play a significant role in the Crusades, eventually being killed in battle by Xanthar the Haunted, a commander in Antares' Death Imperium. I think he comes back in Swords and Sandals 3. I can't remember, as undead. It's funny, I don't remember everything about this game sometimes. There's so many bits and pieces. A lot of moving parts. Can Belgrave be an Easter egg in Swords and Sandals Medieval since he's a knight in Hikaeus? I should have done that. I should have gone back and put Belgrave, closing the blinds, in Medieval, but I didn't think to do that because it was originally not a Swords and Sandals game. Belgrave will be in Swords and Sandals 6, but as a very, very old man. Can you do the very rest of the video in heavy Aussie accent? I don't know. Would anyone appreciate that? That'd be kind of funny. I'll do the next question from Corin Natcharm. My question is, do you plan to make Sword and Sandals 3 version to mobile, mate? Oh, I feel like I ruined that for Corin. Thank you, Corin, for the question. And sorry for butchering it with the Aussie accent. You know how it is, mate. It's one of those accents that some people find amusing, others find to be a little on the nose, you know. It's a little bit of a broad accent. Yeah, you know, slam back a few tinnies on the Barbie. We don't say that. That's only in the movies. Corin's question. Do you plan to make Sword and Sandals version for mobile? Sorry, my friend. No plans for that as we speak because the code is too complicated. Next question is from my good friend Juniet Mila Amia from Bangladesh. Shout out. How are you doing, my friend? One question I'm sure others would like to have an answer as well. If you're feeling down or depressed, what do you do to get yourself back up? I've been feeling down lately. Sorry to hear that, mate. It's a challenging one, and especially 2020 has been a hell of a year, and it has sucked for a lot of people, for a myriad of reasons. I'm not going to tell you don't be depressed or there's a quick answer to that. What I would say is that sometimes you need to allow yourself to be down and be depressed and know that that's okay, because it's not always going to be great. Sometimes we just feel terrible and we don't know why. And sometimes we just can't shake that black cloud of, just feeling like crap. In situations like that, in my own personal experience, sometimes I just allow myself a little bit of time to wallow in it. I play some games. I just let myself eat crap and sleep a little extra and that kind of thing. It's important to not allow yourself more than a little bit of time. You've got to I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist here, so maybe my advice is crap, but don't allow yourself too much time to dwell on it. Try and get yourself into a project, whether it's a creative project for yourself or a project helping others. That old sort of adage, helping others helps ourselves, is applicable here. And I think if we help others, we do make ourselves feel better. I like to go for hikes. I love to go out and, clear my head and just get away from technology, because sometimes technology itself can be really depressing. Sometimes social media just blasts us with all the wrong messages. Sometimes all we see in the news is bad news, and all we hear about is depressing things and end of the world, and and it makes us feel helpless and hopeless, and we think my life isn't as good as that person over there, not realizing that they have their own problems, and we're always feeling like we're competing. So I think it's okay to feel down and know that there are others out there. Chat on the Discord to people, make new friends where you can, volunteer, take time for yourself first. And then, when you're feeling a little bit of strength, that's when you get out there and use that energy to, get back out there, hope you're feeling better today than you may have been a few days ago when you asked that. And I'll see you in the Discord again. Now my nose is itchy. It's going to be a bit suspicious, not some cokehead or something, but it's just got a weird itch. It's really annoying because I'm trying to do this video and people are thinking, oh, that guy, some cokehead. No, not me. Gabe Amando asks, what are your thoughts on Crusader games set at a later periods, like in 16th and 7th centuries? Because Crusader is in Brandor, not in Earth and so on, the time periods aren't really relevant. Pirates is kind of like Crusader, but set in those later areas because it had gunpowder and muskets. It's probably as close as you're going to get to those later eras. Shard asks, hey, what engine will you be using for Sword and Sandals 6? By that, he means what game engine? The old Sword and Sandals games were made in Flash. Sword and Sandals Redux games were made in Adobe Air, which is like a graphics accelerated version of Flash that runs on mobile phones and so on. But still has performance issues. Crusader Redux will be the very last game made in Adobe Air. Spartacus was made in Unity, and that is the best looking and most fast-paced and special effects laden game that I've ever made, and it shows in Unity. I'm thinking the next game will probably be either made in Unity or Godot, or Godot, is depending on what it's called, which is a new free open source game engine. When I say new, it's been around nearly a decade, but it's really gained popular, and version 4.0 is coming out really soon. So I think I'm going to try it out once Crusader's done, and if I like it, I'm leaning towards making it in that, because a lot of people say this is a great engine for rapidly developing games. Good luck with your own game dev. Techman Games asks, what's your favorite Sword and Sandals game? For me, it's Sword and Sandals 2, easily. I think it's the original. It's the most pure combat. Each game for different reasons. I like the depth and story of 3. I like the role-playing element of 5. I like the lore and epic nature that Crusader brought in, but I definitely think 2 is my favorite. VPL11 asks, do you intend to make a new version of multiplayer Antares? No. Sword and Sandals 3 is dead in the water, but Sword and Sandals 6 will be multiplayer, so hopefully it brings back a bit of the old magic. KOTOR HD TV channel, how you doing? You've asked a bunch of questions in the past. Hope your life has not been too dampened by the pandemic. Yeah, it's been good, man. As I've mentioned before, my life's been good. I hope yours has been all right. We can't always assume that everyone else is doing as well as us, so we don't appear like too bouncy and happy, but hopefully, we can support each other through this time, which hasn't ended. We're still damn living through this. He asks, what is your job exactly at the moment? What do you do for a living? What do you used to do? I'm going to do a video on my past at some point, just because there's been multiple questions about it. Right now, I'm working part-time 2 days a week for an educational company making kids software, basically HTML5 game development, JavaScript activities, not really games, little mini activities like drag the C onto the cow, click the blocks together. And I've been with them for the last 4 years. The last 2 or 3 I've been working 3 days and 2 days. So I'm down to 2 days at the moment. And then 3 days a week I'm on Whiskey Barrel Studios. Although the last, since the pandemic hit, I've been looking after my boy Isaac and working at night. So that's sort of taking a bit of a hit, but not quite fully independent yet. But hoping by the end of the year, touchwood, we'll be good. We will be fully independent. Whiskey Barrel Studios coming to you live in 2021 as a full-time indie developer. That's the dream anyway. We'll see. Also, what's your opinion on Star Wars? Have you ever thought about making a Sword and Sandals game set in a sci-fi world? Well, Sword and Sandals is kind of in a sci-fi world with the automatons and stuff. That's about as far as I want to lean in that direction for the moment. But maybe one day, as you know, the original Sword and Sandals 4 was going to be set on different planets and so on. So that can still happen because sci-fi is a part of Sword and Sandals. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is a huge part of my life. I have a Millennium Falcon. Indeed, I have a Millennium Falcon that even lights up. So, sometimes lights up. Damn it. The batteries are dead. But, there's the Falcon. Prized possession. One of them. I grew up on Star Wars. I'm a fan of all things Star Wars. You know what, to be honest, I like all of it. Prequels are okay. I'm even one of those people that I like the sequels. I'm not as harsh on them as other people. I think, as I mentioned earlier with Game of Thrones, I just got less expectations these days, and I'm a little bit more forgiving of the problems with these movies. And I know what these problems are because they're very real, and, people are right to, question all the weird plot decisions and pandering and, stuff like that. But for me, it's still magic and it's still escapism. And, Star Wars is magic. Star Wars is my favorite franchise of all time, just ahead of Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So there you go. Thanks for asking. Shadow Fight 2 Shogun Samurai, cool name, asks, is there going to be the multiplayer in Sword and Sandals 6? You bet. Edis Ekyol asks, will you make a game that was not a Sword and Sandals game? Yeah, hopefully. It kind of depends. I want to make another game that's not Sword and Sandals. I'm thinking maybe if Sword and Sandals 6 is a failure, maybe I walk away from game dev for a little while and come back. I want to make a pro wrestling game. If Sword and Sandals 6 is a big hit, maybe I'll have the money to make a pro wrestling, like a kind of a simulator. So you kind of make pro wrestlers and you go around on, a bus and go around to different states and have big adventures and that kind of thing. Imagine kind of a Sword and Sandals wrestling game, but you live the life of a wrestling manager, that kind of thing. That will be the game I would love to make, or one of a few. Yeah. So, good question. But I want to make other games other than Sword and Sandals, but right now Sword and Sandals is what pays the bills. Game dev, man, it's really hard. Like, for anyone starting out from scratch, it's really hard to make a name for yourself. And I don't envy anyone, getting out there now because there are so many games out there. Even my, Sword and Sandals Spartacus. that didn't do that well, and that's got the Sword and Sandals name on it. It's hard. It's not an easy career. I recommend it as a hobby. As a career, you have to be, you gotta be very lucky. Buddy, how you doing, Buddy X? How you doing, my friend? Sorry, I meant to respond to you in Discord as well. I've been so busy. Got a bunch of cool questions. What, in your opinion, Sword and Sandals are underrated, easily forgotten? Who's easily forgotten? I forget. Stellan Helmgard, the kind of Stalinist lord who's kind of a bit of a badass for a while. I kind of like him. A lot of the arena champions in Sword and Sandals 3 aren't as well known. Mr. Amazing is kind of a cool one. I kind of like Leopold, the musician with the guitar. So I kind of like those ones. Have you ever played any GTA games? Yeah, GTA 4 and GTA 5. Loved them. They were awesome. I wish they'd done some extra DLC for GTA 5, like story mode stuff, because the rest of it all went online multiplayer. I never played that. But I love GTA 4 and 5. And, of course, Red Dead 1 and 2. Red Dead 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. That was a crazy cinematic experience. Do you like dank memes? Not really. I'm too old. I don't really understand them. I'm old, man. What quote from a famous person, regular person that you've heard, still goes around your head to this day? Oh man, off the top of my head, Freddie Mercury, surrender to the splendor. Don't be afraid to be yourself. What are some things going around in the world in 2020 you think would have been solved easily? Oh man, how would we solve 2020? I think, number one, listen to the health experts. My wife works for New South Wales Health. She is a health expert, and she always tells me, when there's a pandemic, listen to the health experts. In America, listen to Fauci. Don't listen to economists during a pandemic, because we have different priorities. That's, I don't know. Just listen to experts where available. Favorite food, pizza. If we drink alcohol, yeah, I used to drink it a lot more than I do now, but I still like a good beer, like a nice pale ale or something like that. A good friend that lives nearby actually works for a beer company. He's always giving us cool new beers to try. So do like a quiet beer in the afternoon, though. I don't drink whiskey anymore. Funny enough, Whiskey Barrel Studios. And to be honest, I almost wish that I didn't name Whiskey Barrel Studios as such, because it's a long name and it's too many letters and too hard to spell. So, one day maybe I'll change the name. We'll see. What other languages can you speak? Can you speak with other accents? I can't speak any other languages. I can do piss poor versions of accents, that sound like mocking. I can do a great Scottish accent. It's one of the best. Actually, that was terrible. It was a terrible accent. Terrible. I can't. Yeah, I'm not even going to embarrass myself further. When put on the spot. Swim Shady. We'll use freelance translators again. I answered this before. We'll see. Sword and Sandals 6 may have a little too much text to do translation, but if I do, I'll let you know, because it was awesome having the services of so many great translators. Man, we're up to 40 minutes already. How'd that happen? How many questions we got to go? Damn. Elang Sacha. We meet again yet, Ollie. Ready for some more questions? Will you be making a fun facts about Sword and Sandals Part 2? When I have more facts, I will. What do you think of Genderbent art of Sword and Sandals characters? I've seen a bit of it on Sword and Sandals Discord. Very creative. It's cool seeing character art done of my characters. Some really great sort of fashion there as well. All fan art is flattering. Did you ever socialize with other Flash game devs outside of the old company back in the day? If yes, who are they? What games did they make? No, not really. No, only the other game devs that I knew of from the company, people I socialized with. What if you become famous back then? Let's say 15 years ago, younger than your current self, just an Aussie, running around Newgrounds making Flash animations, you became. Then everyone loved it. What do you think might have happened? Yeah, it's weird, man. If YouTube, if I'd gotten onto YouTube when it was popular, and if I'd been doing this for myself rather than working for the old company and had my name on the games, I wish I'd done what I did now then, because I could have been much bigger, because the games were big and nobody knew about me. Say la vie, life might have been quite different in that way, but then, we all each take different paths to our destination, and this particular path had led me to my wife and my young son and my, next child coming soon. So I don't, you can't change the past, and I feel fortunate to have arrived where I am. But it could have been fun, it would have been kind of fun. If you have the opportunity to meet another game dev free of charge, who would it be and why? My game dev hero is this man, Richard Garriott, who did the Explore Create book. That's not the only thing he did, but he's an astronaut. He is the creator of the Ultima series and probably the game dev that I've taken the most inspiration from over the years. He's awesome. That would be the one I'd love to sit down and have a long beer with over many hours and just pick his brains. I've chatted to him on Twitter. Not really chatted. I've tweeted at him and he's replied, which is, a bit of a milestone for me. We all have our game dev heroes. Tinhart Nowak asks, will alignment system return and will a game acknowledge this after fights? Will there be different text after boss fights ended with him being spared or killed? It's a good idea and worth noting. I think alignment should play a part in the game for people who want to, spare gladiators or kill them. Mahmoud Faroz. How you doing, Mahmoud? I'm just asking, is Gross Out coming to iOS and Google Play? Unfortunately not. I was able to put it on Steam because it was easily ported over, but because the code is so old, the same reason Sword and Sandals 3 can't come to mobile. It just doesn't port. It doesn't, you have to remake it from the ground up. Poino Coma, you always complain about your cheap coffee, but still you're more of a tea person. You always pick coffee over tea. What I do, I'm a bit facetious with my sort of coffee complaining. It's kind of a bit of a shtick of mine. I like all coffee. I like cheap coffee. I love good coffee. I don't really care. But I drink one coffee in the morning, then one tea mid-morning, then one coffee mid-afternoon, one coffee in the evening. There you go. The things you learn about me some 42 minutes into this crazy video. Should I do a part 3? Now let's just press on. Do you consider yourself, by your standards, successful or at least comfortable with your lifestyle and happy with what you accomplished? I think definitely comfortable, definitely happy with what I've accomplished. Somewhat successful in that people all over the world know Swords and Sandals. Not many people, but still millions of billions. And that's something that, I think I've left a small mark on, pop culture. And I think that's awesome. But I don't think I'm finished yet. I think truly to be successful, I want to have a little bit more. I want Swords and Sandals to be a bit more widely known. I want it to be up there with the big guns, ideally. That'd be cool. But I definitely feel comfortable and fortunate to have been able to be a game developer for as long as I have and have game dev, pay the bills and pay my mortgage. What more can you ask, On a lighter tone, how do you feel about the current state of Crusader Redux, where many things you wanted to implement had to be left out? Does it feel like you expect? Yeah, it's better than Pirates in many ways. It feels a bit tighter and a little bit more fast-paced. So far, it's turned out mostly how I wanted. The one thing I had to leave out, which I'm disappointed, is multiplayer. I know early on I'd said that I would put turn-based multiplayer in, like Hot Seat, but it just got too complicated, and I had to scrap it. But everything else has turned out so far so good, and I think you hopefully will like it. What it made me realize is that Crusader is such a simple game, and even doing a Redux version of it, it's just a simple game. It doesn't really have that much in the way of tactics and so on. And maybe that's a good thing, because not everyone wants to dive into a 150-hour game of Crusader Kings. This is sort of for those who... I think it'll be a good mobile strategy game. Last but not least, have you thought, and are you willing to share any possible names for your incoming kid? I've thought about it, and I know if it's a boy or a girl. I know, but I can't tell you yet. I'll tell you when everyone else hears. My wife and I, it's a little secret. So I have thought a few names, though. Thanks for putting so much effort into the series we're all good to love. Man. Thank you, Poino, and thanks for all your questions in the past. You've done some great stuff, and you've done some great translating as well. Thank you, man. Yo Silva, hopefully pronounced correctly. Where did you publish the first Sword and Sandals game? When did it blow up? Well, that was when I was working for the old company, and it was published first on a site we had called Playaholics, and then it went on Newgrounds, and then a year or two later, Congregate, I think. But Newgrounds was where it blew up first, I think, and then it ended up on, I think, the Brazilian place, Yoga Buenos, I think was the name of the site. Ed, just finishing watching your coverage of the making of the music, but you didn't say how you got the guitar solo in the intro of the third game. Was it you that made it, or did you get someone else to do it for you? It was actually done by a friend who worked at the old company called Gabriel Castro, and he was part of a metal band called Deconstructivist, and the drummer was a guy called Daniel Kinder, and they came to him one day and said, "Hey, Ollie, we've just made a video. We've made a song, a heavy metal version of the Crusader theme, of the Sword and Sandals theme." And then he went, "Got it!" And just, I heard that. Whoa, this is crazy. I didn't do the guitar solo or anything. It's based on my original song, but they did it all. And there's unfortunately no tablature for it, so I don't know how to play it. But I do love it. It's it definitely divided some of the fans because some people don't like metal and heavy metal. But I thought it was kind of awesome and really suited Sword and Sandals 3. And that guitar solo just rips. Chudinsky Stovreniko asks, wouldn't it be better to start without Steam, like a launcher, just make lots of money so Steam doesn't take their cut? I'd like that, but Steam has such a big audience. You're right that there is a bunch of people that love Sword and Sandals that are part of the YouTube channel and Discord and so on. But if you consider that the Discord is about, 6 or 7, maybe 800 people, and the YouTube channel has about 3,000 subscribers, even if you tally those all up, it's only a fraction of the audience you can reach on Steam. So although I would love to have versions that aren't, plugged into Steam, Steam unfortunately is where all the money's at for now. Hopefully, some other stores come out that are big, and I wouldn't mind putting it on the Epic store and so on. We'll see. Steam takes a 30% cut, and they don't really even, promote your game or anything. To be honest, there's too many games on Steam, not to be all gatekeepery, but there's just a lot of games on Steam, and it's really hard to make a splash. Question 2 is, what kind of music do you like? I like all types of music. Big fan of 80s music. My favorite band is Queen. I love George Michael. I love, who else do I love? Fleetwood Mac I've been listening to a lot of. The Killers, Hot Chocolate, Tupac. Josh Ritter, who's a singer-songwriter that none of you will have heard of. I got a lot of music that I love. So much, music is a big part of my life and hopefully a big part of yours. And it's never a day that goes by without a song in my mind. What's my favorite game or serial or film? Serial, do you mean like movie or comic? Favorite game at the moment is Terraria. Favorite game of all time? Possibly Terraria, possibly Ultima 6, possibly Wonder Boy and Monsterland. It kind of changes depending on the day. Favorite film is Star Wars and Princess Bride. It's so hard. I got a top 10 films I should list for you at some point. Thank you for asking these questions. And more questions. What do you think of the protests for George Floyd and the black people? He's written quite a long comment on this. As I mentioned earlier, I feel my heart goes out to the people in America and the people here in Australia who protested our shocking treatment of our Indigenous peoples. All they want is equality, and hopefully, this is finally the time that, we take notice. I read somewhere that today is like, this isn't a wake-up call. This is the call that has been, ringing, an alarm that's been ringing for years and years and years. And, it's just sad that we still have to be having this, in 2020. We're all people, and, it's something that I want to be more aware of and, do my bit. And hopefully some good comes out of this. So, my solidarity with everyone protesting. Question 5, have you played Minecraft? I've played it for about 10 minutes. My nephew loves it. My nephew Ash, he's a great kid. Shout out to Ashton. He's a big fan of Minecraft. I've played much more Terraria than Minecraft because I'm a bit more of a fan of 2D games. And question, he writes a lovely comment here. I hope you're gonna have a beautiful life because you're so nice and love your games. Please don't stop making them, and I love the videos where you connect with the community. They're very nice, and hello from the Czech Republic. You should sometime visit Český Krumlov, where when it's over the pandemic, it's a beautiful city. Have a beautiful day, and I'm gonna write in every comment. Ah, thank you. Thanks, my friend. Hey, you know what? I've been to Český Krumlov. I went there back in 2002 when I was a young man. I loved it. I went to that little castle that had the bear pit, and I walked around it. It's a really great little medieval city, and I would love to go there properly and hang out and drink, have a beer with some fans from the Czech Republic. Maybe one day my family and I can go touring around Eastern Europe, or traveling as tourists, and maybe catch up with some fans and so on. That would be the dream, and hopefully maybe one day you and I and anyone else can catch up for a beer. Maybe we'll have like a Sword and Sandals con or something. That'd be fun. Dream big, right? Thanks for those kind words too. I appreciate it. The cleaner, is there any backstory to Antares? Yeah, he does have a big detailed backstory, which I kind of written a bit about in the tome, but I can't remember where it is, but I'm going to write a lot more about that in the days to come, because his backstory has a big part of Constellation Mirror and so on going forward, and I need to do more about it. But he basically grew up at the land of Eldor Hath, which is the land of pyramids and sorcerer kings who call themselves emperors, and he was a slave to a very wealthy emperor, a high-ranking family slave, and when his mother got sick and the emperor and the staff would not heal his mother, he tried to turn to the dark arts to try and heal her. And when she died, he took it upon himself to take out revenge. And he's been obsessed with the death quest ever since. So, where were we? Shadowgun HD, will you make Sword and Sandals Tavern Quest on mobile? Never going to happen. Too many mini games, unfortunately. All those mini games were written by different people that I kind of reskinned. There's about sort of 5 different developers who did mini games, and I kind of put them in there. It doesn't port, unfortunately. If Sword and Sandals franchise is ever big enough for me to hire a few other developers, let's make a sequel. Why not? Do a Tavern Quest 2. That guy. What about that guy? Asks, I got a few. What's your development process like? What gets you started out from start to finish on making a Sword and Sandals game? Man, that's a video in all itself. It's a great question, but it's in my head for a long time, and then I write down little notes on paper. Then I write down notes on, little note-taking apps like To Do is the one I use, a Microsoft one. It used to be Wunderlist. And then I just start coding sometimes and kind of see where it goes. It's a very organic dev process and sometimes goes all over the place. One of my best friends is a project manager, and he would laugh at my lack of project management. The trailer in Crusader Redux, the map looks kind of altered. Was that me, or just have some map elements changed? Excuse me. How rude. Yeah, it was altered slightly just so I could fit some extra bits and pieces in. I had to move things around for the button. Some people also ask why there's a big sort of space on one side of the map. It's because in the original game, the big portraits used to be there. For now, there's just that. That's just the ocean. Will there be any new mini games in Crusader Redux? There will be jousting and fighting. There's some kind of little mini game style events in the Siege. Maybe there'll be archery. I don't know. I've got a little bit of archery code that I wouldn't mind putting in there. We'll see how fun it is, though. Elang writes some more. But my wife and child are home, so we're going to do the rest of these questions in a part 3 to finish it up later. So thanks for joining us today. And actually, you know what? I'll come back to this same video in a minute. Hang on. Very confusing. All right, several hours later, dinner break and all. Well, we are nearly an hour into this video, but look, let's just keep pushing through it because I think it's only fair to you guys that I only do this in 2 parts, even though the first part was half an hour and this one is nearly an hour. Not to worry. Some more questions from Elang Satya, who's done some great questions. He says, this is the last batch. Will there be new skill trees in 6? Yeah, we answered that one before. There will be several skill trees, like 3, yeah, but more. Will a stealing system from Medieval make a return? If yes, hopefully it's not as overpowered. It was a bug that it was overpowered, and hopefully I I'm planning on patching that in the next version of Medieval. I don't know, maybe stealing. I don't know. It's kind of, yeah, maybe. How many stats will there be in 6? It's interesting. I don't know yet. I'm thinking about sitting down and just writing it all from scratch. Clearing out, like, basically, have the strength, agility, stamina, all those. Just really working out what those stats do and the value of them, and do some need combining, some need, isolating, that kind of stuff. But the plan is to do a little bit of a, just a brainstorm over a few days and just sketch everything out on paper before I figure that stuff out. So, sorry, I don't have a good answer to that one. Okay, number 4. So Tritonia has 2 moons. How will it affect the cultures of the people, and what does Brian May think of it? Yeah, 2 moons. I don't know how it affects the culture of the people yet, because I haven't gone that far into it. But it's a cool idea to have sort of certain cultures, respect one moon more than the others. I think like the seafaring Cycladians would certainly appreciate the 2 moon system, because they're a seafaring people. As for Sir Brian of May, who was, of course, very, very heavily based on Brian May, but may or may not be Brian May, because I legally don't have the rights to Brian May, but I can make a pastiche of him. I think he would love it. Being an astronomer, he would definitely love that sort of stuff. Number 5. Who are the Precursors? Are they from another planet, or is Tritonia their home planet? The Precursors are basically a collective name of the first races to come through the constellation Mirror, which is that large portal that brings other people to the world of Tritonia and, of course, Brandor. It's situated in a big lake in the middle of Phaetor, actually, and every 50 years or so it opens, and people come through. And the first ones came through on powerful starships, so they're actually like starfaring people who sought out the constellation Mirror as a beacon, and it brought them to the world of Brandor, which is kind of cool. So yeah, not one race, but a collective race. And the actual 4 first Precursor races were, let's find out, because I can never remember. They were the Phaetorians, the Braxians, the Edites, the Dracons, and then a little bit later the Vondrox and the Tolots. And these were peoples from individual planets who, basically had to congregate here on this new planet. The Vondrox and the Vond Empire went extinct within a generation, and the Tolots went underground, so we don't really know what happened to them. And there was another race called the Uverics. Of course, the Uveric Ocean is named after these guys, but they sailed south and never returned, basically south, east, across the ocean. I think. I got to look at the map. And their disappearance and some old Precursor books have led to the theory of another continent on the far side of Tritonia called Sagalis, which, exists. I just haven't written about it yet. So, the next question. Who are the Floralisks? They are, in my head, they're sort of magical creations of the wizard knights of Archmagius, who basically animate things and bring them to life. And the Floralisks are sort of like, bastard creations, in the same way that the Sagan blobs were brought to life magically, trees that were enchanted and turned into these creatures. So they're not actually a species or anything from another planet. Born from trees, basically. And number 7, does Mr. Muji, the sword shop owner in Sword and Sandals 3, have any connection with the Drakendirs, who are, of course, largely sort of Asian appearing culture, but they have a more sort of medieval Europe influence in their architecture and their armor and everything. I don't know. It's I guess he would be, even though he has that sort of much more stereotypical kind of Asian dress to him. The way I'm sort of bringing these cultures together is that I'm actually gonna say that people from actual Asia on Earth came to the world of Swords and Sandals, much like the people of Europe through the ages and the Romans and so on, not as entire peoples but individuals. So the first guitarist might have come over and brought the guitar technology with him, and Muji may have just stumbled through a portal from China or somewhere like that. But again, I need to write all this down and figure it out, because a lot of the time I'm sort of answering these on the fly, going, yeah, what is the story behind this? Because a lot of it I don't know. Is JCI from Brando's Story, the Magic Shopkeeper. Well, you continue with Brando's Story. Brando's Story was a little flash cartoon I did many, many years ago. You can see it on one of my videos on this channel from years and years ago. I can't remember which one, but it's just a tiny little couple of minute long sort of animated short. I'm never going to finish that. There was, however, a proper novel that my friend Greg and I were writing, which we did about 150, nearly 200 pages worth, which may see the light of day. It's all out of date lore-wise, and it focuses on a much more sort of traditional role-playing side of things. But it has Belgrave and He Chaos and King Lion and a few other people like that in it. JCI will probably never make a return because that was just a name I picked for a generic sort of female wizard. But speaking of female characters, yes, I do need to create a lot more. That was the 8th question that Elang had. There's not enough. I'm going to be the first to admit that. The very first Sword and Sandals game had no female gladiators. Crusader had none. Sword and Sandals 3 was the first to introduce female gladiators. 4 and 5, of course, had male and female. And Crusader Redux has none either. Because it's the original characters, but I want to bring some in DLC. Pirates had some female heroes in Jane 3 Sheets and, of course, fan favorite Marie Dupont. But I need to be better at that, and it's something that in the next Sword and Sandals I want to make more of, because there are some really cool female arena champions in the series, like Battle Maiden Anna and the Evil Ninja, the grandfather and the granddaughter version, of course, and Luminescia, and yeah, there's not enough, but yes, I will add some more. Final question from him: what do I look like without my beard? A lot younger, but I kind of like the beard. It's easy to have, and it's a bit more kind of I kind of prefer the look. I don't love the look without the beard, but one day I should actually show you a photo of me without a beard. Although you can actually look up somewhere on the internet, if you look up sort of the Swords and Sandals best boss competition video, not from me, it's from years and years ago. I was in that, and I don't have a beard, so you can find that on the internet somewhere. If you find it, put it in the comments. A very much more nervous version of me. I was really terrible in front of the camera back then. I was very sort of, if you want to join this competition, kind of thing. Really, rookie. Rudep writes, what do you use to program games? Over the years, a bunch of different languages. I've used JavaScript, I've used BASIC, Pascal, Lingo, ActionScript 2, ActionScript 3, most recently C#, and then back to ActionScript 3 for Crusader Redux. Spartacus was made in C#, and the next game will probably be, if I use Godot, it'll be using GD script. So I think as a programmer or a game developer, you basically have to switch languages every now and again. But, a lot of these languages are pretty easy to pick up once you have learned the basics of it. A little bit like learning a real language. If you know Italian, you can probably have the building blocks to learn French or Spanish, that kind of thing, the romantic languages. Tinhart Novak asks, I have a question about Sword and Sandals 3 Redux. Will it have the same system enchanted items generated randomly? It may be a popular opinion, but I love the system of buying equipment in Sword and Sandals 3. You might be talking about Sword and Sandals 6 because there's no plans for Sword and Sandals 3 Redux, but I think there'll be a little bit of an element of random items, but not as crazy as that one was. That was very much based on Diablo, and it's crazy amount of random loot. I want to have your basic items and a few, fire enchanted or, magic enchantment. Maybe not quite to that level because it did get a bit confusing and maybe a little hard. But, the idea is it's a good one to have random stuff because everyone likes finding, rare random gear. So Rayanne PA asks, do you accept Bitcoin payment? Sure, why not? I don't really, I'm thinking about setting up the Patreon again if people want me to, but look, Bitcoin, keep them for yourself. Maybe you'll become a millionaire one day, and you can buy Whiskey Barrel Studios, and we can work on something together. So Heinz writes, I'm sure I'm the only one who doesn't know anything, but I heard somewhere that there will be an online component to Sword and Sandals 6, and the armors will be 3D or something. Can you do a small recap on the intentions for the game? So Sword and Sandals 6, plan is to have it multiplayer. The plan was at some point to have it 3D with my good buddy Jeff Wicks doing the 3D models, but I just think now at this point I want to go back to 2D because I don't want to step too far away from what made the original Swords and Sandals good. And the more feedback I get from the classic collection and the originals, people miss those. And if I stray too far away from that, there may just be this disconnect. And also I've never really made a good 3D game before. And right now I really want to focus on gameplay and systems over graphics. So I'm thinking about just really nice 2D sort of cartoon characters, much like Sword and Sandals 2, but brought up to date with modern shaders and nice particle effects and that kind of thing. Heinz also says, I just started playing Sword and Sandals 5 Redux. Immensely pleased, and I'll give you some feedback later on if it doesn't bother you. Yeah, I'd love to hear feedback on it. I'm always looking to patch those games. There's another patch for that one coming after I do Crusader Redux. And before I start Sword and Sandals 6, there'll be this sort of 2 or 3 week period where I do some, admin work and fixing all that sort of stuff. So Brutix and Dark Lord writes, did you ever hear of Kobe Bryant's death? It saddened me. Yeah, some people are saying that's not a relevant comment, but look, I am an NBA fan. I love the basketball, and Kobe was obviously a top 10 player of all time, depending on where you rank him, and, had a great impact on the game. And as a basketball fan, it was definitely a tragic moment for the basketball community and, obviously his family and everything. It was shocking, I'm going to say, but, in this year of 2020, nothing surprises me. Big shout out to all basketball fans everywhere, and let's hope the season kicks back real soon. And my San Antonio Spurs are in the playoff hunt, but not looking likely. Thanks for the question. Yorku writes, will there be full armor and clothing sets in Sword and Sandals 6 like 1 and 2? Yeah, there will be. I like that about, I think you want to be able to get the ninja set or the Myrmidon set, that kind of thing. It's kind of fun, and I think set bonuses might be nice for that too. And will be the special boss items to be aimed? Yes, there will. Yeah, I think when you defeat bosses, it's cool to be able to get a special helmet or a special sword because it's a little reminder of when you beat that boss. Trickmeister asks, what will be the lore of Sword and Sandals 6? Who is our next villain to defeat, and who will we play as? You will play as a new gladiator, one not yet seen before, and the next generation, because this is set some years after Sword and Sandals 5, and so many of the gladiators and characters from the past have gotten older. I haven't revealed the new villain yet, but I can tell you one thing: it won't be Antares, it won't be Chaos, it won't be the automatons. It'll be someone new that has not been introduced to the world of Sword and Sandals yet. And the lore of that is yet to be revealed because I've still got to work it out. I'm thinking when I have the baby and I'm sort of walking around late at night, keeping him from crying, I'll be probably thinking about all sorts of things like that. Because I remember last time when I had my son, I'd walk around the house late at night and I'd be thinking about the games that I wanted to make, because your mind just wanders in those wee hours. More questions from Ilang Sacha, who's just been an absolute beast in terms of asking questions. Who asked, what is the Arena Champion theme? You said it's from WWE, but what is it? It's not actually from WWE. It was sort of inspired by that, I believe. But that original one, that is actually, it was just some bit of stock music that I found years and years ago, and I never actually figured out what it was from. I was never able to find it again, but we've actually, Electro, the awesome musician who's working with me on Sword and Sandals 6, has done a remake of that for the Colossus fight in Crusader Redux, so you'll hear it again, a slight twist on that. He asked, do you wear shoes indoor, just socks, or none at all? Usually just socks, sometimes shoes. I'm not a huge fan of bare feet for some reason. My feet get cold. What do you think is the best Australian food? Our cuisine is all over the place. We actually have beautiful multicultural food from everywhere. We have amazing Indian food, a lot of great Thai food, Korean food, Chinese food, Greek food. My wife cooks some amazing Greek food. But you know what? Sometimes you just can't go past a Vegemite sandwich. And you guys might knock this, but Vegemite on toast. You basically put a toast in, butter it, a lot of butter, and then only a little bit of Vegemite. Those who've had Vegemite and don't like it put too much on. I heard once someone say that treat Vegemite like it were the last jar on earth. Just very, very lightly spat it on. So there you go. Cool questions. Mr. DT123 asks this. What army is the strongest in Sword and Sandals Crusader? In the original, they're all the same. There's no stat difference at all. But in Crusader Redux, they have starting spells are different. Actually, that might be the case in Sword and Sandals Crusader. I can't remember. But Crusader Redux, depending, Belgrave is a good healing hero. Lionel is a good leadership style hero. Bors is a good aggressive hero because he has the core lightning and spells, and Antares can raise the dead. So without the leaders, they're much of a muchness, just visually different. Who has the most powerful Colossus? Same. They're all statistically the same. Who's better commander, Hikaeus or Bors the Mighty? Everyone is better than Hikaeus. He's an idiot. He's a stupid commander who just happens to have good generals underneath him. But he's an inspirational leader, and he's a madman. If you look into his eyes, he can hypnotize. Bors is a much more fierce sort of Viking warrior from the frozen north, from Warmhaven, and he definitely is an inspirational leader. Ilya Gurovich writes, "Hey Ilya, how you doing, my friend? How come half the map in Sword and Sandals Crusader is just water?" Did I answer that? I can't remember. Half the map was from the old Crusader. That's what I used to show the big portraits of enemies when it was their turn. So I kept that just for consistency. I don't know. Maybe in the full version, the final version, I might move it over to the middle, see how we go. Asselbrut, BRT, writes, he's written quite a long stream of consciousness here, which I'm not going to read it all, but there's some suggestions on what I might be able to do with Sword and Sandals 6 about, building equipment and maybe having pets like dogs, cats, and dragons, or angels and gorillas. Having a house, maybe being a king. There's a lot of stuff in there, which is giving me some thought on building armor and blacksmithing. Yeah, this is someone who is really, interested in what the next game might be. So I thank you for your questions, and, your English is good. It's not bad at all. He wrote a little, sorry for the broken English. As I've said before, your English is way better than my second language, which is none. And even I struggle with English sometimes, as you can tell many times through this video. I love TF2 says, please bring back Sword and Sandals solo Antares. Sadly not going to happen. I wish I could. Asselbert also writes, goof luck to you too. Thanks, my friend. Good luck. Chris Chu writes, another prolific writer, my friend. Thank you. Where will Sword and Sandals 6 take place? Will a character travel all across Brandor and beyond? Don't have to answer this as a spoiler. All across Brandor is the plan, and maybe south into Eldor Hath, if I'm feeling brave enough. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking it would be cool to have a traveling vehicle and traveling around a map of some kind, a battle wagon or something like that, and unlocking various arenas in famous locations around, because I feel like we haven't really shown off enough of Brandor, and by the time I get to making Constellation Mirror, I want people to be a little bit more familiar with the world. After Crusader Redux and Sword and Sandals 6, do you have any plans for new games set in the Sword and Sandals world? Yeah, Constellation Mirror is the big plan, and that has been brewing in my head for years now, as some of you know. I've written about, 60 or 70 pages of documentation on that game alone, 100-something characters and quests and just notes in my head. Problem with a game like that, though, is not a commercially very viable game, because you just don't know how many people want a full-on role-playing game like that. Old school kind of Ultima-style gameplay. So I'd only really make that if Sword and Sandals 6 does well. If Sword and Sandals 6 doesn't sell very well, I have to think about what the future of the series is. Here's a lore question from Chris Chu as well. Is there an archipelago with some Japanese-like civilization somewhere east of Brandor, the homeland of Daimyo Katsumoto? No. I think, because I don't know, because no one really knows, right? I think he came actually from Japan and sort of stumbled through the portal. He is not actually from Drakendir or anywhere like that. He ended up there, and he's a great military strategist and tactician, but he originally stumbled through the portal from, feudal Japan. That's as of today. As we say, these things change all the time. And have I played Skyrim? Yeah, I played Skyrim a bit. I didn't love it as much as games like The Witcher because I like a bit more direction in my games, but I can see the fun and all the open-ended craziness that can go on in that, and making your own adventures in such a rich world in there. So there's a lot of magic to it. Palmajar Animation, how you doing, mate? Has some questions. After Crusader, what's next? Sword and Sandals 6. Is it true you'll replace samurai armor with medieval style armor? Maybe I'll have both. Maybe. I mean, there are no real samurai in Sword and Sandals other than Katsumoto. Even though I kind of had that sort of armor in Sword and Sandals 3, I kind of feel like that's a culture that hasn't really made it to Brandor yet. It's really very much just Katsumoto and a few other handful of randoms. Because the Drakendiers are Asian in appearance but more European in their culture. Is dual wield possible in the next game or not? I don't know. Did you like dual wield? Was that something fun? Problem with dual wielding is you have to create all these different animations for, attacking with this hand and so on. So it depends on how I create the little character avatar. If you're making another part in the Sword and Sandals Legacy, how many bosses? I once said there'd be 100. That could be ambitious. I'm hoping to get 50 in the game. We'll see. It's just a number at this point, but I'm hoping to make a system that makes boss creation very easily. And I'd like to be able to roll out bosses after the first game is complete, with new areas and unlockable arenas and stuff like that. What's my favorite boss in the whole Sword and Sandals Legacy? John the Butcher, because he's the original. He was the very... no, actually, he wasn't the original, because the very first one was Wolfgang of Shackleford in Sword and Sandals 1, but John the Butcher really kind of, for me, is the most memorable. It's the one that everyone seems to remember, and he of course was my first boss when I was a kid, as I've told in a different story. Is it possible in the next game to customize the armor and weapons? Because it can be tiring seeing the same weapons even if upgraded. I think we should be able to customize them with enchantments. Is a cool idea. Thanks, mate. And you know what? That's it. We have come to the end of our question. I'm sorry this video is a little bit dark because it's sort of later at night now, and as you can see behind me, I've got the Lego setup. In case you're asking, is the Lego Ninjago City, which I've put a light kit on, and one day I'll actually show you a proper. It's pretty awesome. It took many weeks to build, but there it is, a bit of bling on the shelf. I thought I'd turn the lights on for atmospheric effect. Hey, look, thanks for joining me in this epic part 2. It's, the longest part 2 I've ever done. It's nearly an hour and a half. If anyone is still here, thank you for your infinite patience and your support, and just for being fans of the series and also taking interest in me and my life. I'm sorry I can't reply to you all, and have conversations with all of you individually as much as I could. There's so many... not so many, but every day or two there's little comments and fan questions and Discord questions and so on, and I feel often that I don't give you guys the responses that you need or deserve. Just a time thing. I would love to be able to answer everything, but I want you to know that I appreciate you all, and without you there will be no point continuing Sword and Sandals, because the world of Brandor needs gladiators, and you guys are the best and the bravest of them all, you guys and girls. All right, I'm going to be making another Sword and Sandals Crusader Redux video in the coming weeks to show you what's going on with that, and I should probably do another Games Gladiator as well. That's sort of fallen by the wayside, but nobody really cares about that series that much, so not too worried. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Until the next time. Actually, remember to subscribe, tell your friends, and then we'll have millions of followers, and we'll be big and rich, and we'll all be superstars. The world of Sword and Sandals, the world of superstars. And now I'm rambling, so I'll bid you adieu, and see you next time. Bye for now.